Hi, I'm Joe James. I've made previous videos on Python's list comprehensions and set comprehensions, and in this video, I'm going to teach you how to use Python dictionary comprehensions. We're going to work through 10 specific examples, and I'll show you how they work. And as usual, I'll post all the code on my GitHub site so you can download and run the code on your own computer, and I'll put the link down below in the notes.
So let's take a look at the first example. So first, we're going to assign a dictionary that we create in this dictionary comprehension to dict1. That's our variable name, and then we'll print it out. So how do we create a dictionary using a dictionary comprehension? Well, we need curly braces on the outside here. And inside, we basically have the item that we're iterating through. So we have an iterable over here on the right. This is essentially a for loop. You can use whatever variable name you want. I chose to use x, but you need some kind of iterable. So it could be a list, or it could be a range function, or it could be something else that provides an iterable in Python. So I'm going to start out using a simple list. We'll iterate through those items. And as you know, we can use a simple for loop in Python for x in that list, and it will iterate through the items of the list, assigning each one of them to x for each time through the loop. And then our dictionary requires a key and a value. So here, x : will be the key, and the value will be, in this case, 2 times x. So we're going to double our key, and that's what the value is going to be. So that is the basic format for a dictionary comprehension. X : and then whatever function you want for the value, and then a for loop. So let's save this and see how it runs, and then we'll look at other examples to see different variations of this. So you can see that we get the dictionary comprehension creates a dictionary with 4 items in it, 4 pairs, right? Key value pairs. The keys are all 0, 2, 4, and 6, just as they are in our list that we passed in. And then the values are double that. So let's look at example number 2. These are going to get progressively a little more complicated. Example number 2 uses this basically the same first part, except that we're squaring x instead of doubling it. And we also chose to use the range function here instead of using a list to pass in. So you can use the range function. Maybe you recall range is from to non-inclusive, so this is only going to go from 0 to 6, and every other item. So 2 is the step. In other words, this is going to give you the same values as that list had in the last one, 0, 2, 4, and 6. But it's going to square the items. And then we'll print out dict2. I'm going to save that, and we'll run it. So you see we get keys of 0, 2, 4, and 6, and values of 0, 4, 16, and 36. It squares them. Keep in mind, however, that dictionaries in Python are not necessarily ordered. These are usually presented in random order. In this case, it looks like they're ordered, but they're not always going to come out ordered like that. Anyway, let's look at the next example. Example 3. You can also pass in a string and iterate through the characters, which is what we're going to do here. So we pass in a string, Kumar, and we're saying for x in string. So in other words, x is going to be a char in that string. It's going to start out with k and then u. And the value, you can see the key, we decided to go with x again for this example, but the value is the ASCII value of x, which in Python use ordinal value of x. Gives us the ASCII, it's an integer. So let's save that and take a look at how that runs. So k, the ASCII value is 75, u, the ASCII value is 117, and so on. That is a dictionary comprehension from a string with an integer as the value. Let's look at the next example. Example 4, we're given separate lists of keys and values. So we have a list of keys, which is x, names, right? These are strings. And y, which is a list of values. So in dict4, the comprehension here, we're doing I:(j), for ij in zip xy. How does this work? Well, our iterable, again, we still have to have an iterable, right? We have an iterable. The zip is an iterable, x and y, and that's going to return key value pairs one at a time of these two items, right? So it's going to give us a DT1 and then Brandon 2 and Clumley 3. So we're iterating through both of these lists simultaneously and getting the items in order as key value pairs. We're adding those key value pairs to our dictionary. So this is another way. Now note that you need to have the same number of items in both lists for this to work. And then we'll print out the dictionary. So let me run this and see how that looks. Yeah, we got exactly what we expected with key value pairs again. So let's look at the next example. We use chars in a string. We created a string first separately, and then also as the value for the key value pair, I chose to use 3 times the uppercase version of that letter. So our iterable is for I in x, right? For I in the string. So in other words, it should iterate P-Y-T-H-O-N, and then each time give us as the value 3 uppercase P's. So let's run this and take a look at the output. Yeah, we get lowercase p and then 3 uppercase P's, lowercase y, 3 uppercase y's. So there we're doing an operation on the character itself. Let's look at the next example. A list comprehension for the value. So in other words, instead of just having a value, we actually have a list comprehension instead of the value. So we're creating a list for the value. You can do that in Python. It's a little more complicated data structure, but we have a key is just an integer and the value is some list of values actually. So this outer for loop is for I in x. In other words, we're just going to iterate through the items in x, 2 and then 4 and then 6 and then 8. And then for each one of those, we're going to create a new list for the value, which is I plus 2j for j and y. So see, we can use this I inside of our list comprehension. And we can use this j, which is going to iterate through the items in y, you see here, in y. We can use that j in our list comprehension. So we can use values from both of these lists to compute the values in this list comprehension, which is pretty wild. So I'll run that so you can see how it works. See, this gives you a lot of power if you're actually doing a lot of data computation and stuff. There may be occasions when you need something like this. It's pretty cool. So our value is 2, 4, 6, and 8. And then our keys are 2, 4, 6, and 8. And the value is the list that we created using that math function, which is computed from both the x and y lists. In example 7, we're going to create an existing dictionary and do a transformation on it. We're going to perform a math function on the values. So I want to use the same keys, but I want a different value. So what we're going to do is iterate through x.items, right? For I, j in x.items allows us to iterate through this dictionary, the items of the dictionary. It's going to pass back key value pairs, I and j. And then I'm going to use I for the key, but for the value, I'm going to use j times 2. I want to change the value of j. I want to double it. So this is an easy way to create a new dictionary from an existing dictionary, but doing some kind of transformation on the values because you want them to be different. Let's save that and take a look at the output. You see we get A20, B40, and C60, so it actually doubles those values. Let's take a look at the next example, example 8. In example 8, we can use a conditional comprehension. So this is one of the conditional comprehensions where we can use if for a condition. So here we have I and I cubed. It's going to cube I for I in range 10. So in other words, we're going to go 0 through 9, right? It's non-inclusive. 0 through 9 for the range function, and it's going to give us 0 through 9 and then 0 through 9 cubed. But if I mod 2 is 0, so in other words, only for the even values. Well, we could have just used a different range function to do that, but the point here is that you can add conditions to your comprehension. And here our condition is simply we want it to be even. So let's save that and run it, and you'll see that it's pretty simple to add if conditions in your dictionary comprehension. We only created a dictionary with the even keys, right? Let's look at the next example. Example 9. We only have 2 more examples. So here we have an if-else condition. So again, we have an existing dictionary. We're going to iterate through those items for ij and x.items. We did that in one of the earlier examples. And then we're going to have I for the key and j if j is less than 15. Otherwise, we're going to have j plus 100. So if j is greater than 15, then we're going to add 100 to it. So again, you can do math functions, and you can also do if-else functions for your value right here. In the last example, we had an if at the end here. We would only add that key value pair if it met a certain condition. Here it's going to add a key value pair no matter what, but we can use an if-else statement to determine the value. So that's kind of cool. Let's save that and run it. Yeah, so you get A10, B 120, and C 130. Pretty neat. And in our last example, example 10, it's a transformation from an existing dictionary. So again, we're going to start with the same dictionary. We're going to do I, x of I plus 1 for I in x. So for I in x is going to iterate through the keys of this value. X of I is going to give us the value for that key, and then it's going to add 1 to it. So the value is going to be 1 higher. So we should get A11, B21, and so on. So there you have it. That's our last example. So that is some of what you can do with dictionary comprehensions. List comprehensions, set comprehensions, dictionary comprehensions, all very powerful programming tools in Python. Extremely useful. So learn to use those. Practice playing with these examples, and also do some on your own. Learn to use dictionary comprehensions, and you'll find that they're very useful and will save you coding time.
I hope you liked this video. If so, please click the thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. I'm Joe James. Thanks for watching.